Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz Just postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 467. Played d4 and after d5, c4, the Queen's Gambit. Now the main ways of playing this against this with black are e6 or c6, defending the pawn, or taking d takes c4. But my opponent chose the Chigorin defense, knight to c6, an interesting way to play, and the fourth choice in the database. And it's an opening I've been trying to learn myself. It looks like it gives some dynamic play for black. So I go knight c3. I think I like this line now that I've played it once for white. And he takes. That's the main move here. Although the chess engine seems to prefer defending the pawn with moves like e6 or knight f6. But I think that's not really in the spirit of the Chigorin. I think this taking move is more to the point. And the best move here would be knight f3. I just played e3, getting the pawn back right away. And there's only a slight edge for that for white in that line. So a way to try for more of an advantage would be knight to f3. I just wanted to check this out as I'm trying to learn this opening. So black could play knight f6. And then queen a4 could be played, or e4. And this is where some interesting tactics start up. It looks like black is threatening to take that knight and then win the d-pawn. So bishop to e3, and then e6. And then I get to get the pawn back. If he takes right away, instead of e6, this is not working out so well. Let's see, can he grab this pawn? No, I can't. I've got that adequately defended. I just have to remember to take back with a pawn there. So e6, and then I grab the pawn. And he gets his bishop out. So this looks like a pretty interesting position for black. He's got all his pieces out. He's going to be able to castle. Has a little less space, but well, an active position, and he has the opportunity to trade off his bishops for the knights and maybe inflict some pawn damage. It's a theme in the Chigorin that black is willing to trade a bishop for a knight in order to do something like that. Anyway, let's get back to the game. Just thought that was kind of interesting. I played e3, and he went knight f6, normal developing moves. I get my pawn back, and he plays bishop f5. And I was a little worried, particularly in the postmortem. I don't know if I was paying attention to this during the game, but in the postmortem I said, aren't there ideas like knight b4 here? It turns out, well, let's see, after knight f3, knight b4 is not a good idea because of the queen check. The knight just has to go back, and then not only that, but you push on with d5 and win the knight because it's pinned by the queen on a4. So knight b4 is not a good idea here. e6, castles, and now knight b4 could be tried here. And this is a little more complicated. He didn't play this, but I just was wondering about this in the postmortem. And it looks like you can sort of ignore this knight and just go on with your development, like knight e5. And then if he tries to drop into c7, his knight actually gets lost. Here, you play e4. And now he can grab the rook, but then you'll get the bishop, and you'll also get the knight because the knight is trapped back there. So that's two pieces for a rook. And so there's just no way to save material here. He's got two pieces hanging. The bishop is hanging and the knight is hanging. If the bishop takes a pawn, you're just going to trade it off and then take the knight at the end. And let's see, if knight takes, is this a possibility? Still queen takes c2. And the other interesting point comes up that there's no great discovered attacks on the queen because the queen escapes with a check. So white just stays a piece up. So there's nothing to be afraid of with this knight b4 move. Interesting. So anyway, he played bishop b4. He didn't go that way. I was just kind of wondering about that in the postmortem. I go knight h4, harassing his bishop. His bishop g4. Kicking the bishop with f3 is probably the best move here, but I just brought my bishop back. This lets him trade off, and he's basically equalized here. This is something that happens quite a bit during the game. He plays some less than accurate moves, and I get an advantage, but then I play some less than accurate moves, and he gets an advantage. So it kind of swings back and forth. There's one really nice tactic in the middle game. I'll point that out. when we get there, where I did have a winning chance in the middle game. But anyway, this is what I mean. He had just equalized at this point. He could play normally like castle, and he'd be fine. But he starts going all out for the attack here, and this gives me an edge. This attack is not really well founded. In fact, it chases my knight to a better square and leaves this pawn hanging. He decides to take the knight off rather than give up the pawn and damage my pawn structure. So he takes here. But he's given up all his developed pieces. After knight d5, this pawn is hanging and I could still take it. And he's only got one developed piece. Now I didn't take this pawn. I might take it in a longer game. It's a thing you're reluctant to do, particularly in Blitz, because you're opening up lines towards your king. But if you think about it, with the queen on g4 here, it actually controls the g8 square, and it's going to take him a couple moves to organize a rook to g8. He's going to have to move his queen out, castle queenside, and then he can play rook g8. And in the meantime, you have opportunities to get your pieces out as well. So it's okay just to take that pawn. But the really interesting line here the chess engine pointed out was this one. I didn't think about this at all. e4 kicking his knight. I mean, this is his only developed piece, so why not just push it to a bad square, and you're basically miles ahead in development. And if he doesn't want to go to a bad square, if he comes forward and grabs the pawn, and the knight actually gets trapped here. Queen c2. This is the part that's hard to see. So first of all, if he tries to defend, you can pin it and win it. He can't bring a pawn up in time to defend it. So that just loses the piece. And if he moves the knight away, where can the knight move to? All these squares are covered by the queen or the pawns. So he's not going to any of these squares. He's got to go back here. And then you bring your rook over to chase his queen off of the d file and grab control of the d file. Say queen to e7. Knight d4 is just giving up the piece immediately. But then a4, and now the knight is trapped. You close the jaws of the trap. All these squares are covered. You can see the importance of grabbing the d file is that it took away all of these squares, particularly that one. And notice that the a3 square is covered by two pieces, so even though the queen's on that, you can't move the knight there. So yeah, it's just winning a piece there. And if he doesn't take the pawn, if he retreats his knight, then you've really got an excellent position. So that's the best play there, the best way to play. I played rook to d1, and this is okay, keeping an edge. He goes queen h4, bishop b2, getting my pieces out, castles queenside, and I've sort of let him off the hook a little bit. He's managed to castle and get all his pieces out, so not the most forceful play. Go rook d4, f5, and I was really expecting him to play h5. Let's back up. Is h5 better? Yeah, h5 is pretty much equalizing here. He just cements his advantage. So this is what I mean. Once again, c4 kicking his knight is the way to go. Get it off of that good perch. So, I play these moves that give up the advantage, and he plays less than accurate moves to give it back to me. But I guess we're staying in the range of plus or minus, not in the winning or losing territory here. And we're approaching that point where there was this really interesting tactic. So let's see. He took my pawn en passant. I was attacking his queen. I take back, and then he played rook to d8, looking at the d file. There's no back rank mate threat because I pushed the f pawn forward, so my king has a escape square at f2. But it could be annoying to have this check and maybe win the bishop. Things like that. So I do have to be careful about the rook invasion. I go rook b4, defending the bishop, and also attacking on b2, or b7 rather, and threatening mate. And he plays the move e4. So let's erase these arrows and put e4. So if you can imagine, this is your tactical quiz. There's a really neat tactic for white here after black plays e4. Now, obviously, the idea of e4 is to hit my queen and shut down this diagonal so I'm not mating him. But I have another move after e4. So if you want to pause the video and think about it, it's a cool tactic. Okay, I'm giving the answer away now. After e4, I can play bishop takes f6. Just winning a piece because I've grabbed a piece and his queen is under attack, and my queen is under attack, but you know, he either has to move his queen or take my queen, and he has no great way to move his queen with the threat. He could take on c5, hitting my rook, but then my rook takes his pawn and I just stay a piece up, or he could take the queen and I take his queen. Either way, I've won a piece there, so pretty cool tactic. Anyway, I didn't spot that. I played queen to e2, and after that, black is better once again with queen takes c5, which he didn't play. So he played knight to d5 and let me off the hook. So let's go forward to the endgame. He cements his knight there, and once again he's gotten back to a decent position here. And the way he lets me back into the game is he allows me to go into the endgame. He could avoid that. Let's see, he could move his king away from b8, so there's no pin on the queen, or he could just not move his knight. His knight is guarding this square and his rook is guarding this square, so I can't force a queen trade. But after he plays knight e7, then I can, and this the advantage at this point finally shifts towards white, and I maintain it the rest of the way. He can't avoid the trade because of the pin on his queen. He could play knight to g6, defending his queen and forcing me to take, but he just took. And now I'm going to win this weak pawn here and have a good endgame with the bishop against the knight with pawns on both sides of the board. So he goes knight f5 and take. And then let's just fast forward here. I think I don't ever give up the advantage. Yeah, I maintain the advantage the rest of the way through, just playing routinely, pushing my pawns forward. There was a chance to actually trap his knight here with after he went knight h4. I could have played the move f5, which is interesting. I wasn't thinking of these ideas, but his knight doesn't have many good squares after f5 if I had played that. And then I can later go here with the king and attack his knight. If he tries to go to this square, the only square his knight can go to, then I can just keep pushing my pawns. He's gotten his knight out of play here, basically. So anyway, I push on with the g-pawn instead, but still keeping an advantage. I gradually work these pawns forward, and at this point, right here, yeah, that last move, he needed to keep the knight here to trade off a piece for my pawn when it comes forward. Now I finally am queening, and this is a win. And at this point, there's a mate in two. I just have to play queen here and rook here, and that's a checkmate. So anyway, it was an interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again soon.